So here's our mission today. We are going to unpack the events of July 23, 1998. But to do that, we have to travel all the way back to the 1960s.
Way back.
We need to understand the origins of the Umbrella Corporation, which is way more Indiana Jones than I ever expected.
A lot more, yeah.
We need to talk about the betrayal of a man named James Marcus, and then we're going to break down the train ride from hell that, for all intents and purposes, kicked off the entire apocalypse. But in the beginning, it was just three guys: Oswald E. Spencer, Edward Ashford, and James Marcus.
And they weren't just scientists in lab coats. That's the crucial thing to understand. These were European aristocrats.
Like old world nobility.
Exactly. British nobility specifically. They had old money, castles, family crests, and an obsession that went way, way beyond pharmaceuticals.
They were eugenicists.
Hardcore eugenicists. Their goal was never to cure the common cold or, make better aspirin. They looked at humanity and saw a rough draft. Flawed. Imperfect.
And they wanted to be the editors.
They wanted to rewrite the human genome to create a superior race of superhumans with themselves naturally sitting at the top as gods.
And this shared, twisted obsession takes them to West Africa.
The folklore said that this one specific flower, which only grew in this one specific underground ruin, granted incredible power to those who consumed it. They find the flower, and inside it, they managed to isolate a brand new type of RNA virus. This is the progenitor virus. And the way it works is just terrifying. It essentially deconstructs the host's DNA on a cellular level and tries to rebuild it into something else.
Tries being the very important operative word there.
Exactly. For 99.9% of people who get infected, the progenitor virus is just a deadly poison. It tears you apart from the inside out. Your cells just dissolve.
Horrific.
But Spencer theorized that if someone had the right genetic markers, the perfect DNA, they wouldn't die. They would evolve. They would become stronger, faster, smarter, superhuman.
And this is where we see the split in motivation, which the source material highlights really well. Spencer wants to be a god. Full stop. He wants to rule a new world order of his own creation.
It's pure megalomania.
But Marcus.
Yeah.
James Marcus just loves the science. He's obsessed with the discovery.
Marcus is the quintessential mad scientist archetype. He doesn't care about ruling the world. He cares about the experiment itself. He wants to see what the virus can do, push it to its limits. And this ideological difference, combined with just raw aristocratic ego, starts to fracture the group almost immediately.
So they come back from Africa with this world-changing, incredibly dangerous virus. They need money, they need labs, they need a cover for this massive, illegal, deeply unethical research. So what do?
They incorporate. In 1968, they found the Umbrella Corporation.
I love this detail so much. The Umbrella Corporation, which we all know as this global pharmaceutical giant, started as a money laundering front.
That's all it was.
They sold headache medicine and first aid sprays and skin cream to the public just to pay for their secret eugenics experiments in the basement.
It's the ultimate corporate satire, isn't it? But as you can imagine, that partnership doesn't last long. Spencer is a shark. He knows he can't share power. He can't share the god throne.
Right. There's only room for one.
So very quickly, Edward Ashford dies.
Dies, yeah. With big air quotes around it.
The official sources say it was an accident involving exposure to the virus, but it's very heavily implied that Spencer orchestrated the whole thing. He needed to get Ashford off the board.
So there were two. That leaves Spencer and Marcus.
And they form this uneasy alliance. Spencer takes the public-facing CEO role, handling the business, the politics, the money. Marcus, who hates all that stuff, happily retreats to his lab.
And this brings us to the primary setting of Resident Evil Zero, the Umbrella Training Center.
It's a huge, sprawling facility built in the Arklay Mountains in the late 60s. Marcus becomes the director there. He isolates himself from the world. And for 10 years, from roughly 1968 to 1978, he is trying to solve one very specific problem.
The progenitor virus is too lethal.
Exactly. It's too lethal to be a useful biological weapon. It kills the host too quickly. You can't have a super soldier if they just melt in 5 minutes.
So he needs a stabilizer.
Yeah.
He needs to mix the virus with something else to bridge the gap between human and monster.
Yeah.
And in 1977, he finds the missing ingredient.
Leech DNA. Marcus discovered that when he spliced the progenitor virus with leech DNA, the leech DNA acted as a kind of buffer.
It slowed down the cellular destruction.
Precisely. It allowed the host's body to mutate without dying immediately. It kept the brainstem functioning, it kept the motor functions working, even if just barely. It created a living dead state.
The zombie.
This was the birth of the tyrant virus, the T virus.
So just to be clear, the zombies we see in all these games,
Yeah.
The reason they shuffle, the reason they are driven by this insatiable hunger, that's partly the leech influence.
In a way, yes. It's that primitive, parasitic drive boiled down to its essence. But Marcus didn't just see them as test tubes or weapons. This is where the story gets really psychological and really creepy.
He fell in love with his creation.
He became obsessed. The source material gets really disturbing here. He stops associating with humans entirely. He spends all his time in the lab with these giant, pulsating, mutated leeches. He starts calling them his children. Marcus starts feeding his own staff to the leeches. He's testing the T-virus on them. It's not just science anymore, it's a private slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And Spencer, watching from the corporate headquarters, realizes two things at the same time.
One, Marcus has finally done it. He's perfected the T-virus.
And two, Marcus is completely insane and a massive liability.
Spencer wants the product, but he doesn't want the partner anymore. So we jump forward a decade to 1988, the assassination. And he doesn't just send some random security guys. He sends in the next generation. He sends in his two brightest stars,
Albert Wesker and William Birkin.
They lead a commando unit into Marcus's private lab. He's there, working on a special project, his Queen Leech.
The door just bursts open, no warning, they just open fire.
The description is brutal. Marcus is riddled with bullets from submachine guns. He falls onto his desk, bleeding out, and the last thing he sees before he dies is his two favorite students, Wesker and Birkin, standing over him, stealing his research.
It's the ultimate betrayal. The scientific father figure murdered by his own adopted sons. They take all the data, they take the credit for creating the T-virus, and then they unceremoniously dump Marcus's body down a waste chute.
Into the water treatment plant below the facility.
Out of sight, out of mind, or so they thought.
But something else in that lab survived the attack.
The Queen Leech. This is Marcus's masterpiece. A specifically, uniquely genetically engineered leech that was larger, more intelligent, and had a deeper connection to him than the others.
When his body was dumped, the Queen Leech followed.
It slid down that same chute into the darkness of the water treatment plant, and it found his corpse. And it did something. Well, grotesque doesn't even begin to cover it. And over the next 10 years, from 1988 to 1998, it slowly, methodically consumes him. But it doesn't just eat the meat. As it consumes his brain tissue, it absorbs the genetic data. It absorbs the lingering neural pathways.
It's like biological data recovery. It's a living hard drive.
It is. The leech downloads James Marcus. It absorbs his memories, his voice, his mannerisms, his scientific knowledge, and most importantly of all, his burning, all-consuming rage at being betrayed.
So after 10 years of this incubation,
by 1998, the leech has mutated enough, it has absorbed enough of Marcus's DNA that it can do something incredible. It can shapeshift, it can arrange its own cellular structure, the colony of leeches that make up its body, to look exactly like a young, handsome James Marcus.
But, and this is the key distinction, it isn't James Marcus.
No, not at all. It's a colony of sentient worms thinking it's a man. It's a mimic.
So 10 years pass, it's now July 1998, the Queen Leech is ready. It decides to hit Umbrella where it hurts, to announce its return. And that brings us to the opening cutscene of the game.
The Ecliptic Express.
A stormy night in the Arklay Mountains. You have this beautiful Art Deco luxury train owned by Umbrella. It's transporting employees, executives, maybe some civilians. They're in the dining car, drinking champagne, reading newspapers. It's civilization.
The peak of Umbrella's corporate power and arrogance, just rolling through the woods.
And the leeches hit.
It's a swarm. It's not one monster, it's thousands of them. They smash through the windows like a hailstorm. They pour through the air vents. The attack is swift and eerily silent at first, and within minutes, everyone on that train is infected with Marcus's perfected T-virus.
This is the spark. This is the moment the T-virus outbreak officially begins in the world. It's not a lab leak. It's a targeted biological terror attack.
And this is where our heroes step in. Or, maybe I'll better to say, our victims. Because STRS Bravo team is sent in to investigate the cannibal murders.
Let's talk about Rebecca Chambers. Because in a genre that is full of action heroes with giant biceps and military training, Rebecca is, well, she's us.
She is arguably the most relatable character in the entire franchise. She's 18 years old, she's a child prodigy, graduated university early, she's a genius chemist and field medic.
But she has zero field experience. This is literally her first day on the job.
She's wearing a bright white medical uniform with a big red cross on it in the middle of a muddy, monster-filled forest. She is completely and utterly unprepared for what's about to happen.
Bravo team's helicopter experiences engine trouble, which we later find out was probably sabotaged by the Queen Leech, and they crash land.
Everyone gets separated in the chaos. Rebecca wanders through the woods in the pouring rain and just stumbles upon this train, stopped dead on the tracks.
And her first thought is, okay, civilians, I can help. This is my job.
She steps on board, and it's a charnel house. The passengers aren't dead, they're turning. Their skin is pale, they're groaning. And this is where she meets the other half of our duo.
Billy Cohen.
Billy is the polar opposite of Rebecca in every conceivable way.
Complete opposite. He's a former Marine lieutenant. He's cynical, he's muscular, heavily tattooed. And he is currently a prisoner. He was being transported to a military base for his execution.
For the murder of 23 people.
So Rebecca, the by-the-book rookie cop, walks onto a zombie-filled train, and the first living person she finds is a convicted mass murderer whose guards are now dead.
And her first instinct is to try and arrest him.
Which is so perfect for her character. It's so naive. The world is ending around her, and she's trying to follow protocol. This sets up the core mechanic of the game, but also the core theme of the story: cooperation. The outline mentions partner zapping, which is the gameplay term.
Wait, switching between them.
But narratively, it's about learning to trust. They have to.
They are handcuffed to the situation together, literally and figuratively. Rebecca can't move the heavy obstacles. She's physically outmatched by the monsters. Billy can fight, but he's not a chemist. He can't mix the chemical reagents needed to unlock doors or solve the facility's puzzles.
They need each other to survive. One is the brains, one is the brawn.
Exactly. And as they fight their way through this moving death trap, which eventually speeds up and goes completely out of control, they start to form this reluctant bond.
And then the train derails spectacularly. It just slams into the basement of the old Umbrella Training Center.
Which is such a brilliant horror setting. They crawl out of the burning, twisted wreckage of a modern train and find themselves in this dusty, gothic, abandoned night mune from the 1970s.
It's like time traveling backwards.
It is. It's dusty. There are these creepy portraits of a young James Marcus everywhere. It feels like a genuine haunted house.
While they explore this facility, let's dig into Billy's backstory. Because murdered 23 people is a heavy tag to hang on your protagonist.
It is, yeah.
As they survive together, Rebecca starts to realize that Billy doesn't act like a psychopath. He's not cruel. He's not unhinged.
He saves her life repeatedly. He puts himself between her and the monsters without hesitation. Eventually, in a quiet moment, he trusts her enough to tell her the truth about what happened in Africa the year before, in 1997.
So let's paint this picture. We're in the heat of the jungle. It's a civil war.
Right. Billy's Marine unit is sent on a secret mission to destroy a guerrilla hideout. They've been marching for days. The heat, the insects, the stress is getting to everyone. They finally reach the coordinates they were given, and there's no hideout.
It's a civilian village.
Just mud huts. Women, children, elderly people, non-combatants.
The intel was bad.
Horribly bad. But Billy's commanding officer, he's a career man. He can't go back to HQ and say, "We marched for 3 days and found nothing." He wants a body count to justify the mission. So he gives the order.
He orders a massacre.
To murder the civilians and frame them as guerrillas after the fact, and Billy refuses. He's the only one on the squad who steps up and says, "No, sir, I am not shooting innocent people."
That's the brave move. That's insubordination in a combat zone.
It's a career-ending and potentially life-ending move. The commander pistol whips him, knocks him unconscious, and while Billy is out cold, the rest of the squad executes the villagers.
Oh, man.
When they get back to base, the commander pins it all on Billy. Lieutenant Khan went rogue. He lost his mind in the jungle and slaughtered everyone.
So the 23 murders,
All right.
those were the victims of his own unit, and he was the designated fall guy.
Exactly. He was framed by the very institution he swore an oath to serve. And this resonates so deeply with Rebecca. She's a police officer. She believes in the system, in rules and authority.
But here she is, in a facility owned by a respectable corporation that is secretly making monsters.
And she's realizing that the convicted criminal standing beside her is actually the only moral person left in this whole mess.
It's a complete shattering of her black and white worldview. She realizes that authority isn't always right. Sometimes it's corrupt to the core.
And that's the moment they truly stop being cop and prisoner and become partners. They trust each other.
While they're having this emotional journey on the ground, we also get to see what the real bad guys are doing. We cut away to a control room somewhere, right?
Yes. And this is a huge treat for the lore nerds. We see Wesker and Birkin in their umbrella lab coats watching Rebecca and Billy on the security monitors. Spencer sent them in to retake the facility and assess the damage.
But they realize it's a lost cause.
A total lost cause. They realize this resurrected Marcus, the Queen Leech, is far too powerful to contain. The whole facility is compromised. And this is where we see the crack in their own alliance.
Wesker is always the pragmatist.
Always. He looks at the situation and says, "This ship is sinking. I'm getting a lifeboat." He reveals his plan to Birkin. He's going to defect to a rival company and sell Umbrella's secrets.
And he needs data.
He needs combat data.
Yeah.
So he tells Birkin he's going to lure his own STARS Alpha Team Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton into the Spencer mansion nearby. He's going to pit them against Umbrella's BOWS, the bioorganic weapons, to see how effective they are.
So that's why the mansion incident happens. It wasn't just a rescue mission for Bravo team that went wrong. Wesker wanted them there. He led them into a trap to gather data for his new employers.
Exactly. Resident Evil Zero confirms that the first game was a setup from the very start. It was corporate espionage disguised as a police operation.
But Birkin doesn't go along with it.
No, Birkin is too obsessed with his own work. He refuses to leave the Arclay labs. He's working on something even worse than the T-virus, the G-virus. He says he's staying behind to finish his research, which, well, that seals his fate for the events of Resident Evil 2.
Okay, so back to our heroes on the ground. They push deeper and deeper into this nightmare facility. They eventually face the proto-tyrant.
The T-001, it's a horrific-looking thing. It's clearly a failed prototype. Its spine is exposed on the outside of its body. It twitches uncontrollably. It has these massive, misshapen claws.
It's a tragic monster, really. It was probably a human prisoner that Umbrella experimented on until nothing was left but pain and aggression.
A walking sack of agony. They managed to put it down and descend even further into the water treatment plant where Marcus's body was dumped all those years ago.
And this is where they finally confront the main villain, the young man in the white robes, the Mimic.
The Queen Leech finally drops the disguise. It gives this chilling, theatrical monologue about inheriting Marcus's will. It says things like, "I am the memory of his hatred." It's fascinating because the Leech doesn't want money or power like Spencer. It just wants to burn the entire world down because that's the last powerful emotion that James Marcus felt.
Vengeance. Pure and simple.
And then it transforms.
It lets go of the human form.
Completely. It mutates into this massive slug-like monstrosity, the true form of the Queen Leech. It's fast, it spits acid, it's covered in this thick, slimy armor that makes it nearly invulnerable to their weapons.
But Rebecca, being the scientist, being the smart one, she spots a weakness.
Sunlight. Throughout the entire game, the leeches have been hiding in the dark. In the train, in the basement, in the labs, she realizes they're sensitive to UV radiation. And because this is an Umbrella facility, the self-destruct sequence has been initiated. Of course it has. The sirens are blaring. A computerized voice is counting down to detonation.
It's a race against the clock.
The first rays of dawn hit the Queen Leech, and it melts. The cells destabilize and disintegrate. It lets out this horrific, gurgling scream of agony.
And Billy, with his magnum, delivers the final, cheesy but perfect line. He shoots the exposed core of the creature. It explodes in a shower of goo. The shockwave knocks them back, and they barely manage to escape via an industrial elevator as the entire training center collapses into a fireball behind them.
Technically, by the letter of the law, she should slap the cuffs on him right there, but she can't. She looks at him, she knows he's innocent, she knows he's a good man who got a raw deal.
So she asks for his dog tags.
She officially kills him on paper so that he can live as a free man. It's an incredible act of moral courage.
And Billy?
He doesn't say anything, he just gives her a sharp, respectful salute. A salute of respect between two soldiers who just survived a war together. He turns, walks into the forest, and disappears.
And he is never seen again in the entire franchise.
Which I absolutely love. Fans are always asking, where is Billy? When is he coming back? But I think the point of his story is that he's escaped. He got out of the cycle of horror and corporate conspiracy.
He's the one who won.
He's somewhere in Mexico or Canada, living a quiet life under a new name. He won.
And then the camera pans back to Rebecca. She's standing there, all alone. She turns toward the distance, and through the morning mist, we see the spires of the Spencer mansion.
And she starts walking toward it. Because she knows the rest of her Bravo team is still out there somewhere. She has to go find her captain, Enrico. She has to do her job.
Watch your step in the rain, and we will see you on the next deep dive. Goodbye.